All right, let me. You gonna bang your head against the wall there? And yeah, probably. But let's just do it for posterity. I had a client yesterday, and you can go back a couple of videos ago if you want. And he had his financial life together. This guy came from poverty. He worked hard, saved his money. He's very financially stable. And then he goes on to talk about his girlfriend that he's living with and he's miserable with, and he's been suicidal and he's depressed, like legitimate depression, legitimate. Need to talk to a therapist. And they haven't had sex in 2 years. And it's just getting worse and worse. And I'm like, and how he misses his friends. He was happy when he was with his friends, and that they're in couples counseling for 2 years, and I'm like, dude, if it goes a month and it doesn't change, like no sex for 2 years while you're there. And then he goes on to say that she wants to buy a house, and the house in the area they're looking is $650,000. And I was like, I'm still hung up on the no sex thing for 2 years. Well, can we go back? I mean, there are many reasons to leave now, and not even married. They don't live in a common law state. So I'm like, go, leave. And he just couldn't. And then she won't let me, and this and that. And I don't know what that world is like. But after reading through what was a lengthy request and a lengthy email at dawn, it's like, bing, where's your dad? Mentioned his mom, didn't mention the dad. Dad was an alcoholic, left the family or died when the kid was 14. And then I'll get other requests and emails, but ASO Consulting is coming up on 7 years old now. We got another month or so and we'll be 7 years old. Can you imagine that? When Cappy didn't have all that gray hair. And what it basically boils down to, and it's like being a cop or a doctor. Society has scourges. It has problems, right? There's disease. Would we like a world without disease? Yes, we would. That would be very nice. But it's not going to happen. It's the reality of life. We have disease and illness and sickness and bacteria and things. So we have doctors. And doctors make a lot of money too, by the way, by treating illnesses and disease and curing people or helping them and making, we fight disease essentially. Cops, same thing. We'd like a world without crime. But there's crime. And so we need cops. Cops also make a living. And then it's kind of sad. Like I'd imagine where psychologically a bit, always being surrounded by death or illness, trying to save lives, and you don't one day, and you're a doctor, like that's got to wear on you. A cop, you try and save a kid, and the kid doesn't make it to the ER and passes away. I'm sure it wears on you after a while. But it's kind of the same thing, and I have to accept this and realize that me, among all these other guys, me and Rich Cooper have a conversation, but all these red pill guys, we're basically repairing, trying to save, treating a scourge, and that is children from broken homes. I would generally say single moms, broken homes, because that's the majority of the broken homes and how they originate. But there's we've gotten clients, I've gotten clients at least, where the dads are complete reprobates. They're just scum. And you throw in, to show you how severe this problem can be, Modern Life John, Modern Life Dating, I call Modern Life John. He had he still does. He has a SALT course. I forget what SALT stands for. It's an acronym, but it's an Intro to Girls and Dating course for young men. And I took it, and it's like, the intro was like, okay, guys, set down the pot. Okay, now you need to brush your teeth. And you need to take a shower. You need to get a haircut. And I email, I'm like, dude, I can't recommend this. I'm like, who takes this? Come on, that's basic. He's like, dude, these guys don't know. There are millions of men every year that dad isn't around. Dad doesn't invest in them. Mom doesn't invest in them. Mom broke up the family with dad, whatever. How many of you, everyone from the divorce family say, ho, ho. And they don't know this basic stuff. Then I saw his enrollments. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, these single mom factories, these deadbeat dads, these baby mama and baby daddies, these basically breeding factories are producing dysfunctional children at a rate faster than what we can, even with the power of the internet, to repair them. And if you want to come on and you got a question, you have the intellectual honesty and you want, you got problems and everything like that, yeah, I could consult you individually. But what I noticed, and this is several years ago, is all these problems, all this modern day parenting or the lack of parenting. We don't need dads. You don't need a nuclear family. Ha ha ha. What do you think this is, Judith Ward Cleaver? No one needs both parents. And no, you don't need to raise your children. You just send them off to daycare. We now have a full generation to see how that worked out. It's called the millennials. So I wrote this book, How Not to Become One. Now it's under Vince Barrett because Vince bought the rights from me. And he also co-edited this a little bit. So there's some writing of his in here, but this is predominantly me. And I looked at it and I said, okay, we've had the largest sociological experiment with this neo-parenting where you don't basically parent, you just outsource it to the school or the state or daycare. Mommy goes and gets her master's degree and whatever. Daddy doesn't invest any, like we're going to sit down and have a good Andy Griffith talk with Opie, or we're going to learn or teach you how to change oil or something like, or mechanics, or how to clean a small engine so the lawnmower works. We've had the first generation where your parents have essentially abandoned you, and we look at it and it's a disaster. The millennials are a disaster. I'm not saying that to be pejorative or mean. I'm doing it because it's descriptive. They are a disaster. Half of them still live at home. Half of them can't support themselves. They're asking for a bailout. They all majored in worthless crap. They went in crippling levels of debt. They have no value, no purpose, no agency, no reason, no cause in life, except, and here's what's really sad, the politics of predominantly socialism they've been given to have. Like, that's their, I voted for socialism. I voted to take other people's money away. Yay. It's like, that's your cause? What about fishing? How about that for fun? My cause is, what about family? Well, you can't have family. They're ugly as sin. We've gotten rid of beauty. We've gotten rid of strength. We've gotten rid of masculinity. We've gotten rid of femininity. And then these kids, the kids that are now full-grown adults, are just dying and suffering mentally too, because I don't care what the social scientists of 50 years ago said. It doesn't undo 2 million years of human or Cro-Magnon evolution. And that's running head right smack into each other. What you're programmed to be by nature, what you are, against what some feminists or social scientists said, oh yeah, the gender's fluid. Everything's a construct, and you don't have to work hard, and we should just all sing Kumbaya, and let's all go read Noam Chomsky together. Follow your heart, and money will follow. By the way, give us $125,000 of your money, thank you. At 7% interest. You can have it all. Don't even get me started about the lies they've told women. Anyway, the point is, what you were told versus how the real world ended up being are two completely different things. And this has destroyed an entire generation called the millennials. Now, I have largely given up on the millennials. The book is still here. The book is here. Millennials could read through it. It even talks about how, there's three groups of people that this is intended for. Younger generation, so they don't become millennials. Millennials, so they can salvage what remains of their life. By the way, you're at the halftime. It's halftime, guys. The halftime show. Madonna or whoever's singing, it's the halftime. And you are way behind. Life is kicking your ass. And soon you will have wasted it all. And then older people who are just like, what the heck? So it's more of an academic for people who are older. Gen Z. But what I have found, sadly, among, I'd say 80% of parents today, which is now my generation, because I knew these people, I went to school with them, and they were losers. Don't think the boomers are all this bad. I mean, the boomers are bad, but don't think Gen X is anything better. I know you made me misled to believe we're pretty cool because of people like me. But no, I know Gen Xers, and they're just as scummy. Where do you think all this woke cancel culture comes from? Remember Ghostbusters, huh? Remember Dukes of Hazzard and Knight Rider and all that good stuff? Yeah, no, we're getting rid of all that. Yeah. Well, we better purge that out. We better erase that from history. We don't want that's too fun. That's too edgy. Remember boobs? You used to be able to play with boobs back in the 90s. It was good times. Anyway, parents are absolutely horrific I would say not even existent. About 80% of parents out there today are breeders. They just breed. They don't parent. And don't think this has anything to do with, oh, are you talking about the poor people, black people, Hispanics, the bar? No, all of them. Watch American Beauty, even though it's a movie. That's what it is. Even though the movie's 20 years older. I've seen it. I get the tax. You can tell so much for people's tax returns. Again, I was an analyst back in banking. And wifey Pooh makes all this money and daddy Pooh makes all that money. And like, oh, your daycare costs are really expensive. Where do your kids go? Well, not home. Why would they go there? Mom and dad aren't there. And so I only because it's going to, well, not only because it's going to profit me, but it's a damning statement upon society. This book is better than most American parents. I'm not kidding. This book right here is better than most American parents. This book will do you more good at becoming a successful, or at least a not constantly in pain or psychologically tortured adult if you read this book. This is better than any teacher you got. I'd argue it's better than any therapist you got. And it is certainly, I'll say, better than the majority of American parents today. And all I ask, I know you're lost. I know that. And oh, by the way, you already have the answer. More of other people's money because socialism, right? If that still doesn't make you happy, if you're a younger man or woman, you're like, God, I don't want to like have a nose piercing and be fat and like have tattoos on my face. And the only thing in life is like where I put up a dating profile on like ACAB and my hobbies and interests. Look at these dating profiles. Maybe you want to get to the point where your hobbies and interest doesn't include mental health awareness. Maybe it's things like bowling, cycling, painting, just not having politics at the center of your life, which don't know if you notice the millennials will make you miserable. So there you go. That book, I'll stand by. I'm funny and zany at times. I know, but then there's sometimes I'm deadly serious. That book is better than 80% of American parents right now. And that's not a glorification of my book. That is a damning testimony about just what low-grade slop most American parents are today. And if you're having trouble, if your dad's not around, your mom's not around, you're lost, you don't know, I cannot recommend you get this book enough. And you read it, and you do a sociological study. You look at your older millennial brothers and sisters, say, holy crap, that's effed up. Do I want that? And then you analyze, say, how did they get there? In the book. What decisions did they make that ended up in their really crappy position that they're still living at home at 35? It's in the book. How do I avoid becoming like a millennial? It's in the book. And while you want to go talk to your dad, there's this girl I like in school. What do I do? Okay. Because like he just stumbled upon your mom. I mean, let's just be truthful. It's in the book. Well, there'd be other books that I'd recommend if you want to get the girl stuff. But I keep getting these requests. You know, like doctors get patients, cops got to fight criminals. And it's kind of looking into the abyss. It's not like, Cappy, here's an email and I have no problems and things are wonderful. And by the way, here's a picture of my well-endowed girlfriend. She says hi. I mean, I'd love it if it was like that, but it's not. It's always problems. You know, and I'll die. I'll be done. You know, whenever I go, I'll go. But in my absence, or maybe you can't afford my consulting practices, or maybe can you get that book and read it? If you know someone who's in trouble, like the guy who's not had sex for 2 years, and now his girlfriend wants to go in cahoots on a house together. Could you get him that book? Are you a sad high school kid? All of a sudden, your older brother, who was like the champion of whatever, the wrestling team, or I don't know, the theater club in high school, comes back still living at home at 32. Your mom and dad aren't there. They don't answer your questions. Whatever. You know, or here, I'll make another bold declaration. If your parents are divorced or are never together in the first place, you must get this book. And then maybe if that becomes a bestseller, the youngin' kids, maybe this becomes the Little Red Cookbook, except instead of Mao's revolution, it's Cappy's revolution. Oh my gosh, we all major in the right thing and go into the engineerings and the trades, and we make lots of money. We eliminate student loan debt, and everybody's happy, and everyone's thin again. Girls are sexually satisfied. Men don't have to look at land whales marketed by Target. You know, we maybe have a culture again. Maybe we bring back movies that are funny and zany and aren't remakes, politically correct remakes that are crap. So there you go. All right. Codename Theta, $20. Came up with a design for a pneumatic crossbow that uses a CO tank and has a feed tube into a pipe that builds pressure to load a bolt into the bow. The trigger acts as release valve. Fire the bow. Just saw Van Helsing. He's our resident physicist in the field. You want like, dude, go build it, man. Get a patent on it. That sounds great. Nonstop Dre, $2. Math professor didn't know how interest works. Really? The math professor didn't? All right, there you go. So the link to the book is below. If you love anyone or care, please forward this. Please post this on the internet somewhere, please, huh? Yeah, I'll make money in the process, but can we, what can we do to turn it around? I don't know. Here's a vaccine. Get it to many kids' hands as possible. See you guys later. Toodles.